Inside a Miracle. It was the summer of 1974. I was a 16-year-old girl in the last year of high school in Portsmouth, Virginia. I had a lump on the left side of my neck under my ear that would not go down but grew bigger and bigger. I was unable to eat foods without pain. At first it was just tart foods. Then it was any foods that I would eat would cause pain in that area. Eventually, even water caused pain. Being the daughter of a naval officer, my mother took me to the Portsmouth Naval Hospital there in the city, where I was seen in the ear, nose, and throat department by our ENT specialist. His name was Dr. Now. He was an Asian man, kind face, much shorter than me, but he had a warm bedside manner, I remember. After the preliminary exam, the doctor suggested that it was probably a swollen gland, and I was given some antibiotics and told to return in about 7 to 10 days if there was no change in the size of the gland or if the pain persisted. After 2 weeks, the gland had gotten slightly bigger and had come to a pointed head, and it was more sensitive than it was before, and I was still unable to eat or drink without pain. So my mother made an appointment, and on the next appointment, the doctor lanced the gland with a sharp instrument. So he took a scalpel and he just slightly cut the area after he had numbed it. And expecting to see a little blood come out when he made the incision, there was no blood, only a little pus. So he became concerned with this and suggested that this gland be biopsied. So he took a little piece and sent it off to the pathologist. And he told my mother and I to come back in a few days after the results were called in to him. So now this is the 3rd week going into the 4th week. During the 4th week, awaiting the test results, my weight began to drop down at an alarming rate. I went from 132 pounds to 72 pounds within that week. And I started to have severe headaches, which were occurring daily and lasting sometimes all day without relief. And surprisingly enough, I was still going to school. I was trying to complete my last few weeks of school that would allow me to graduate in August of that same year, 1974, 1 year ahead of my class, if I went to school in the summer. So on this particular day, I remember coming home from school in the afternoon, and when I walked in the door, my mother was looking quite strange. She actually met me at the door. When I went into the door, she held me tightly when I came in the house, and she asked me to sit down in the kitchen so that she could talk to me. So I put my books down on the table and followed her to the kitchen. She pulled out the chair at the kitchen table and we sat down. She said, "The doctor's office called earlier today and said that I had to be brought back to the hospital immediately because the pathologist test revealed that the specimen taken from my lymph nodes was positive." "Positive?" I asked. "Yes, malignant." "Malignant? What does that mean, Mom?" She said, and she paused. "The doctor said that you have cancer." "Cancer? Cancer, what is that? I mean, how can I have cancer? I don't smoke. How can I have cancer?" I asked. She didn't answer, and I didn't ask any more questions. We both just sat there at the kitchen table staring at opposite sides of the wall. That was the last week of June 1974. And I was 16. Inside of a miracle is a story about my life and about how God chose miracles to permeate all throughout my life. It's a series from my salvation, it was miraculous. My healing, cancer, it was miraculous. Angelic visitation. My heart attack, being put in the morgue, dead for 5.5 hours, kidnapped twice as a missionary, shot in Grenada. Inside a miracle is where my life has been and still is, even to this day. As you read these series of books, know that God is still a God of miracles. And there is never, I repeat, never an impossible situation. One of the things God told me was, Sheila, go and tell people what I've done for you. And that's what I'm doing. So inside a miracle, as you read it, put your life, your family, your impossibilities inside of the realm of the miraculous, because God can and will do it. And I pray that my book and the series of books that will follow this will encourage you, inspire you, that you will grab hold to anticipation of something wonderful happening in your life, in your family, in your body, in your marriage, in your ministry, in your business. He can, he will. God's blessing be upon you. Enjoy. Be inspired to believe God for your need. Blessings.